Welcome back again. In the last couple of videos, we learned a lot of things about Rehearse, right? We learned how to create these call blitz type scenarios that you can, start the blitz and start practicing calls. We learned where those calls go, which is in the call logs, where you can see all the details of the call, including a little bit of the coaching, scorecards, why they were evaluated the way they were, questions, objections raised in the call, and we learned how or what are the best practices to create these assessments, which is scorecards, questions, objections, based on your actual sales calls. So these blitzes sound exactly like how an actual call would go. And we learned a little bit about how to create buyer bots. So we learned two ways of creating buyer bots. One was, creating the bot as a single bot, and we also learned how to do this in bulk, which is pasting a bunch of LinkedIn profiles of your actual prospect, and then Rehearse scans through the profile and creates the bot. And we finally, we also learned about the analytics, where you can analyze all the calls of your reps, look at the scorecards and see how they are improving, along with knowledge gaps, where you can see where the actual knowledge gaps are, which is how many times was a certain question asked or how many times a certain thing occurred versus how many times was it properly handled by the rep based on your evaluation criteria. And we figured out that if the green bar is long versus compared to the yellow bar just below it, that's shown in the scorecards, right? If the green bar is long, yellow bar is short, that means there's a gap that you need to coach your reps on. If they're both the same size or similar size, that means the objection of the scorecard item occurred X number of times, and it was also handled X number of times properly. So there's no gap. So you can clearly see where the knowledge gaps are, and then coach your reps based on that. So we learned all that. So that going from, being able to call, being able to create call blitz, call logs, assessments, buyer bots, analytics, how to analyze calls, etc., how to set this up for your team. Now, in this video, we are going to talk about a little bit about organization and how the team plans work. So let's talk about the organization first, which is the concept of workspace. And we'll learn this by an example. Let's say you are running a big SDR team. Let's say you have an SMB team, you've got a mid-market team, you've got an enterprise team, and they're all calling completely different scenarios, situations, buyer bots, and you don't want to mess things up or mix things together, right? Maybe the SMB team wants its own set of dashboard and call logs, and you don't want it to be confused between, or mix up these call logs between mid-market and, different other teams. You could also have like different products that you want separate dashboards for, or different different goals for the team. Let's say you have AEs and CSMs. You don't want to mix those calls up and mess it up that way. So that's why we have the concept of workspace. Now the concept of workspace works this way. It's essentially in an isolated environment that is a completely new Rehearse dashboard from scratch, right? It's kind of like a Slack workspace or a ClickUp workspace if you've seen it. You can create these separate workspaces. Like, for example, if I click on this product launch, you will see that the scenario that we just created goes away. If I go to the call logs, there are no call logs. There are no assessments. There are no buyer bots. There are no analytics. It's all gone, right? Because this workspace will be a completely isolated environment in which your teams can live. And then you can have a separate workspace for a different product, a different team, etc., right? Hopefully that's clear. And you can have as many workspaces as you would like, so that every team has its own sandbox using Rehearse. They don't have any conflicts. When you log into Rehearse, you are in this global workspace. The global workspace is a workspace where it's just the default workspace. It's just right off the bat, you're just logged into this particular workspace. It's not really a workspace, it's just a null workspace, if you know what I'm saying. And if you want to create a new workspace, you can just click create new workspace. Pretty simple, new workspace and click create. That's all you have to do, right? And as soon as you create it, you're also logged into that workspace and you're made the admin of that workspace. Okay, hopefully that's clear. And if I go to the workspace settings, you will see the name of the workspace, you will see when it was created, the number of people in that workspace, which is the admin, which is the person who created the workspace. And then you can, of course, delete the workspace, which will delete all the call logs, all assessments, everything from that workspace. So, just a warning there. Just make sure to not mess with this stuff. But yeah. So when I went to the workspace, I can open up any workspace. As long as you're the admin or the member of the workspace, you'll be able to see it here. And then I can go to the workspace setting, and this is what it shows. You can edit the name of the workspace. That's trivial. But the cool thing is now you can invite people into this workspace, right? So I can click add members, and then I can choose the member that I want to add to this workspace, and I can add that member. It doesn't require permission from the members' end. As long as they're in the organization somewhere, they will be simply added to the workspace, and you can also make them as an admin so that they're able to remove people from the workspace, etc., right? So they get those privileges. And you can also then remove this person from the workspace like this. Okay? It's as simple as that. Now that we know the concept of workspace, I should have told you before this how to add members of your team when you first log into Rehearse, right? Because if the members are not present inside Rehearse, you won't be able to add them or see them in the menu right here. So let's see how to actually invite this John guy to this, to this Rehearse thing, so that we can then add them to different workspaces. How to do that? Let's go to the global workspace, right? Let's go to the home, and to your top right, you have access to what we call manage teams and billing. So let's go here. Now that we are here, you can see that you have access to your own profile. You can edit your name. You can also edit your email. You'll have to ask us to change the email. You can't really do that right now. And you can also change your password, right? It'll send an OTP to your email, and once you approve the OTP, you'll be able to change the password, right? But the thing that we need to focus on is inviting your team members to Rehearse. And you do that right here in the team. So when you go to the team settings, it will show you your organization, it will show you the plan that you're on, and it will show you the current members within this organization. And if you invite people to this organization, you can put in their names right here, okay? And you can send invites. For example, if I want to invite hello@rehers.ai, new@rehers.ai, etc., I can click send invites, and those people will be invited to Rehearse. You can see, there you go, these two people are invited. So you can just put in a comma separated thing, and from their end, they will receive an email, and they can just register their name, and they will be added to this particular organization. And now that they're in the organization, when you're creating a new workspace, you'll be able to see their names and add them to a specific workspace. Hopefully that makes sense. Remember, these invites are pending, so you have to ask them on Slack or somewhere to accept the invite, check their email, check their spam, see if they're invited, and then accept that invite, just like you normally do with Slack or Discord or any other site, right? So that's how you do the team settings. Now, finally, now that we know how the workspace works, how to invite members to the to the Rehearse overall, and how to isolate them in workspaces, we'll focus a little bit on billing. So let's go to the billing. And here you can see that we are on the free tier right now at Rehearse, right? This is an admin account, so it doesn't really need to be on any tier, but this is just for demo purposes. When you log in, you will see that you're on the free tier, and then you can upgrade to either an individual plan, which means it'll be only you, right? And it starts at just $60 a month, or you can upgrade to like a small team plan, which will get you 5 hours of calls per month. What does this mean? It means that for $150 a month, you can onboard as many people, because we have unlimited seats for all the plans, you can onboard as many people as you'd like to Rehearse, to this dashboard. That means you can send as many invites as you'd want, and they will be all added to this Rehearse dashboard, and they will all share a shared pool of 5 hours of calls. That means if John calls for 2 hours and the other guy calls for 3 hours, they all share from the same 5-hour call pool. So you can have either 50 people share the 5-hour pool, or 100 people, or 2 people. Ideally, it would be 2 people, right? But yeah, team plans start based on hourly conversations per month, as opposed to the number of seats, which is kind of not something that we like doing. We don't charge per seats. Like, that gets very expensive very fast in most cases. So it's much better for you to just pay for the number of total hours that your team would use, and then add as many members of your team as you'd like. Anyone can join in. We don't really charge per seat. Of course, there's an annual plan that is much cheaper. So if you buy like 50 hours for the medium team and you switch to annual, you only pay for 10 months. You don't pay for the last 2 months. And then you just get the team plan, and you're shown a quick summary. If you confirm the subscription, you're taken to Scriptify, which is our company, the main company in Scriptify Incorporated that owns this Rehearse. And then you can make the payment, and as soon as you make the payment, those hours or minutes will show up right here. And every month that will be renewed. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's how the plans work. We don't charge per seat. We just charge for the number of hours of actual conversations that you're having on the platform. And that means the actual call, the actual completed conversations that you have, right? And nothing else. That's a pretty flexible stuff. And we also store all your recordings, all your transcripts. We do all the deep persona research, etc. All that is included in the plan. So hopefully this makes sense. If you still have any questions, I would love to answer those questions. You can, book a time with me right here. And, I would love to tell you the details on any or answer any of the questions. Of course, there's also this little widget on the right that you can click. I was just testing it. And you can, directly ask a question like, hey, Dev. And you can see that it directly pings my phone, right? So we are not using any AI here. It's directly HubSpot chat, and it directly goes to my phone. So if you have any questions there, I would love to answer them on this widget. But anyway, that was a quick overview of Workspaces and how to invite members of your team. You would ideally do this part first, invite them to the team, and then, if you want to create Workspaces, that's totally up to you. And we also saw how the team pricing works and how do you set up your profile, etc. So that's all. I think that finishes the entire Rehearse tutorial. I am super excited to see how you use Rehearse. I'm also very active on LinkedIn, so you can easily find me. Just Google my name and CEO Rehearse or Scriptify. You'll be able to find me on LinkedIn. Connect with me, ping me there, DM me. I answer in mostly under like 2-3 minutes. So again, super excited to have you on, and I would love to see what you do with Rehearse.